Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. The countdown is on. We're doing how many more of these? I think 4. I'm here. I see y'all in the comments. I think we're going to do the weird, like, jumpstart lag thing again. Just going to clean my camera. See, it did it again. I don't know what the hell. Maybe it's my internet. Maybe it's my computer. Maybe it's YouTube. Who knows? Anyway, hi, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy day 27, 26, 27, somewhere like that. We're on the countdown. Just a few more days left. And this has been a really, really wonderful experience. Welcome for those of you who are new to What the WTF, day 27 or 28, something like that. We're towards the end of our 30-day journey together. And if you would like to participate in the live conversation, day 27, thank you, Sophia. If you would like to participate in the live conversation, you just have to be in subscriber mode. That's how I have it set to avoid all of the spam bots infiltrating our chat. This has really been just a beautiful exploration of, using this eclipse as the marker, as the threshold for this new experiment, this new experience, this new expansion into, I don't know, it's like this new reality, this new, I've been talking a lot about the divine human again, the human 2.0, and this evolution and this expansion that we've been in process, for quite some time, really feels like it's starting to ramp up. So I think that, do yourself a favor and ask some questions. Do yourself a favor and get curious. Do yourself a favor and go in and start to, hey, what's going on in here? Is this really how it is? Is this really all there is? Is this all we can be? Is this all we can have or do or whatever? And I want to say thank you to those of you who have been sending in questions. I said this yesterday, and I'll continue to say it. For those of you who have been watching and who are curious about topics maybe we haven't covered, about perhaps circumstances or issues in your life, while I can't necessarily give you a personal reading in this format, I can certainly, speak to the nature of whatever's going on for you. So feel free to contact me directly. My email's here on my channel. You can find it in the other information section or below in the description. There's a Linktree link, and that Linktree link has an email form. You can contact me via email there. So thank you for your questions. I'm going to get to a couple of them today. And then if there continue to be more questions you have, again, about anything, something we've talked about already in this series, something that I haven't mentioned, something you're curious about, or perhaps another person is talking about and you want to know my take, like, hey, let's, we've got some time left. So why not use it to answer your questions? So hashtag AMA, ask me anything. Oh, good, Ali. I'm so happy that the method of journaling helped you. That's good to know. So someone had written an email asking about dreams, and she was saying, I'm going to get to the email here. She's saying, are dreams becoming more vivid? I feel physically nauseous in dreams sometimes. This has been going on for a while now. When I'm traveling in an elevator that transports me to another dimension, amazing. That night, the night before last, in my dream, I smelled for the first time. It was a foul smell, but cool to gain a sense in my dream. That is cool. Last night, felt the cool skin of a dolphin. I don't usually recall having a sense of touch, but definitely not temperature. I could something. Anyway, I'm curious. Sorry, I was just reading faster than my mind could keep up. So, dreams. Here's my perspective. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a biologist. I'm not a neuroscientist. I'm not a licensed anything. Oh, no, I am a licensed minister, an ordained minister in the Universal Life Church. I also have a driver's license. But those are the only licenses I have. I was a beauty school dropout. I almost had a cosmetology license, but I never did it. So, this is my opinion. This is my perspective. This is the way I think about these things. These are the perspectives I take on these things and the information that I have. Take it or leave it. If you think I'm wrong, fabulous. If you like what I say, fabulous. If you're not listening at all, fabulous. All of those are beautiful, beautiful options. So, my perspective on dreams is, the traditional perspective on dreams is that it is your subconscious organizing information, processing, categorizing information, making sense of what's been going on in your life, in your day to day, and whatever. We often talk about how it's a place where you can maybe deal with things that you can't deal with consciously, right? The subconscious, locks it away or suppresses it. And so some of that stuff might emerge in your dreams. And I think that no doubt that's part of what is happening, right? The mind is getting an opportunity to not be engaged in the external stimulus because our eyes are closed and we're at rest, we're at sleep, our brain goes into a different patterning. So there is, I think, something very real to the belief or the perspective that it's how our body, processes and organizes information. And one thing that I heard from a very, very young age was that you only dream about people or places that you've actually experienced. When I was a kid, I was like, well, that's fucking stupid because I have dreams about flying all the time and I've never flown in this life. That's fucking stupid because I see people that I've never met all of the time in my dreams. I'm in places that I've never been to all of the time in my dreams. So I don't buy the idea that it's only your subconscious that is only organizing information that you have experienced only in this life. I don't buy that for a second. I think that what happens during dreams is we are traveling, right? That's a common theme. If you look at a lot of really ancient wisdom or tribal wisdom or cultural wisdom around the ideas of dreams is that, when we're awake, we're dreaming, and when we're asleep, we're actually awake. So this idea that when we are asleep, we're accessing other realms and other dimensions, 100%, I believe that. And not just as a fantasy. I mean, in actual traveling and moving our consciousness and our awareness into another version, another layer of reality. There are times when I wake up and I feel like I ran a freaking marathon. I am more exhausted when I woke up than I was when I went to sleep. And I always just say, I was really busy last night. I don't know where I was, but I wasn't sleeping. Because when we're asleep, that is when the physical body essentially can unlock and we can actually move in and out of our physicality with great ease and with very, very little effort. And it's something that just happens. And so I think as we are shifting into layers of reality that we have never really inhabited before in these bodies, in this life, as we are shifting into bandwidths of energy and frequency that are offering experiences that we have not experienced in this body, in this life, dreams are going to get weird. Dreams are going to get crazy. Dreams are going to continue to be very, very intense, because I get the sense that a lot of what's happening, and I talked about this a little bit in my May Ascension report, about how we may be physically projecting ourselves into one area of reality, but energetically, mentally, emotionally, psychically, we are somewhere else. So we are in this multidimensional space right now. And when we dream, it becomes even more intense. It becomes even more profound, more pronounced, and more visceral. We begin to really experience what it's like to be in these other realities. So I don't buy for a second that it's just a dream. Not at all. In fact, Seth and the Seth Speaks material talks a lot about what happens in dream time, about how we're actually learning, and we can actually connect with a layer of our consciousness that is specifically devoted to learning while in the dream state. So we can begin to connect with this level of our consciousness and direct it intentionally and say, hey, I would love to begin to work on this issue, or I would love to begin to focus on this idea or this understanding, or expand my awareness, my knowledge, my belief system, etc. So what I would offer is, if you are curious about dream time and what happens there, just begin to set intentions, right? As you're falling asleep. Okay, self, I would love to have an experience that is X, Y, and Z, or I would love to retain a little more information, or I would love to focus on this kind of idea, and just see what happens. Just see what happens. You may also consider a dream journal. You may also consider, learning how to do lucid dreaming. There's a whole bunch of amazing experiences you can have in sleep states and the states that, precede and follow sleep state. And those liminal states where we're literally kind of in between worlds. can be very, very powerful. And Bashar actually has a meditation that you do over a series of weeks, and you begin to create a talisman, and you begin to create a series of prompts so that you know you're dreaming, and you come into awareness while you are dreaming. So then you can begin to consciously create and direct and manage your dreams. And then those skills opens up a new layer of your awareness and your abilities when you're in waking consciousness to begin to have the same influence on your reality. So that's my take on dreams, which is a little kind of a soup to nuts, right? It's a little bit of everything. That's another thing, Elizabeth, if you're talking about, parallel lives in LA, I think that's another thing that we do during dreams is I think we inhabit other versions of ourselves. We inhabit other versions of our life, right? So, there's your job, there's your life that you're having with your soul, but then on up the chain, there's your, the oversoul and the monad. And so we can look at, a monad is, 12 souls, and then 12 souls splitting off into 12 more souls. So there's a lot that we are connected to that we aren't necessarily consciously experiencing. And once we begin to get curious about how to navigate and travel those realms, it gets really fucking fun and really, really cool. My cousin shares experiences with me where he was able to project his consciousness into an entirely different room, and he could describe to someone what he saw, what was happening, what they were wearing, what was on the walls, all that, while he was never there. So remote projection. So there's all sorts of things our minds can do that we're just now beginning to discover. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk on dreams and scene. Okay, so next topic was someone wanting to know, and I'll read her email if I still have it. Did I keep it? Yes. Do those coming into this life with autism have purposes additional to being examples of unconditional love? Is there a mechanism in place to assure their livelihood through the potentially ensuing chaos? What will their role be upon ascension? Great question. Let's see. I don't know what their role specifically will be in ascension, other than to say there is a very specific role that they have. And I don't know if it's necessarily a group mission. We could say as a group that those who we would identify as just being on the spectrum. What I believe is, number one, they came to I think a lot of what they're here to do is reform our education system. I think they came to show us how fucking broken and borderline useless our modern education system is. We don't educate, we indoctrinate. So I think that, kids who are on the spectrum or individuals who are on the spectrum came here to show us how poorly our education system is set up. So I think that's number one. They learn in a different way. They learn at a different rate, and they learn very specific to the desires and the purpose and the path that they came here to inhabit and embody. So they're beginning to show us that no, this one size fits all approach to education does not work. A one size fits all approach to anything for 8 billion humans, give or take, does not work. So I think that's the first thing that they're here to show us, is that we need to learn a new way of teaching. And it actually needs to be about teaching, not programming and indoctrinating. I think that, yes, they are also here to teach us about compassion and patience. And I think they're also partly going to be a huge part of revolutionizing our healthcare system. You can't just pump these kids full of pills and expect that, everything is going to be fine. That's fucking ridiculous. So I think that they're here to challenge a whole lot of things, frankly. And I think a lot of the things that they are here to challenge, specifically that first wave in what was like the 90s, like, early to mid 90s, when we really started to hear about ADHD and ADD and autism and all of these things in a way where it was no longer just an isolated experience. I think they're also here to teach us about the impact that the toxic environment that many of us live in is having on the physical body and the physicality. I think that pretty much top to bottom, people who are on the spectrum are here to teach us a lot of things about a whole lot of subjects. And I also think that people have been on the spectrum since humanity was born. I think that this is not new. I think that what's happening is we're beginning to become more granular and more aware just in how we can approach and engage with our bodies and our conditions and the mind and all of the, the medical or physical challenges or inconsistencies or evolutions that we're seeing, I think that's part of it, is that the kids on the spectrum are an evolution. They're an evolution of humanity, right? It's this divine human, the human 2.0. I think that I'm on the spectrum. To be perfectly honest, I bet if I went through testing, I would show up as on the spectrum. I used to count syllables on my fingers when I was a kid. Like, I would be having a conversation with someone, I would be counting just sort of unconsciously all of the syllables for the conversation on my fingers. It was just something that I did. Yeah, I love that, King Master Lord. Anti-tyranny adaptation. They're just not controllable. They're not indoctrinatable. They're not, what's the word I'm looking for? Tameable. You can't reel these kids in. You can't wrangle them in. They're just far too advanced. So I think that this idea of what being on the spectrum is, I think it's our native natural state of being, just evolving beyond the prison reality of the dark matrix. So I think that autism and kids on the spectrum are actually showing us the direction that we're headed, and they are forcing us to redesign and reformat and re-examine how we basically treat humans and what we expect of them and how we manage them. So yeah, that's how I feel about kids on the spectrum. I think that they are an evolution. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. I don't see it as a disability. I don't see it as anything that necessarily has to stand in their way. I think what it is a call for those of us who are parents of autistic kids or kids on the spectrum, or who are teaching them or engaging with them or living with them or whatever. It's calling us to do better, to be different, to do more. So that's what I think of that. There was one other one, but I don't know if I can find it. It may have come in through a comment on YouTube, and it's escaping me right now. So maybe I'll get to that one tomorrow. Excuse me. And then someone had asked about, recently had said, recently I was talking about how I can't be invested in the well-being of my clients. And someone replied to me and was saying, like, well, does that mean you don't care? Listen, do not misinterpret. When I say I cannot be invested in the well-being of my clients, doesn't mean I don't care about my clients. Doesn't mean that I don't have love and compassion and offer everything that I can in session with my clients. It's just that if I were personally, emotionally, energetically, psychically, intellectually, physically invested in the thousands of people that I have seen over the years, I would have adrenal fatigue in 20 minutes. It's not my job to walk your path for you. It's not my job to know where you're going to end up. It's not my job to tell you that you're going to be successful or not. My job in the moment is to give you what you need in that moment. But I cannot be responsible for if you're doing the work or not. I cannot be responsible for if you're getting it or not. If you have questions and you're like, hey, wait a minute, Amar, what was that? Certainly I can explain myself. But to say that I am invested in your well-being is false. I want you to be well. I hope for you to be well. I love it when I see my clients remember how to heal themselves and liberate themselves and reparent themselves and love themselves and accept themselves. I want that for everybody. That's the key. That's the answer. If all 8 billion of us woke up tomorrow and found that, game over. It would just immediately, everything would begin to move in the direction that we all want them to move. So I think that what I meant when I said that was, I can't make it my personal mission that you are successful and happy and well. I got to focus on me, right? I am invested in my own well-being. I am invested in the things that are important and meaningful to me. I can manage my own experience. I can ensure that I'm doing what I say I do, right? Those are the things I can hold myself accountable to. I can't hold you accountable to anything. I can't make you do anything. I can barely make myself do anything I don't want to do. So that's what I meant when I said I wasn't invested. What I mean by that, TLDR, once we hang up the phone, I'm not sitting there thinking about for the next 3 days whether or not you're going to get it. I'm giving you my love. I'm giving you my compassion, and the door is always open. But I can't embody tens of thousands of people in my field and, focus upon them and hope that they're well. My God, I would disappear. I would implode. So that's what I meant. Yes, I love you. Yes, I care about you. Yes, I want you to be happy and well. And you're the only one that can decide to do that. I can show you the door. I can share my keys with you, but I can't ensure that it happens. That's on you. That's on you. So Allie's asking about, could you please talk about resistance to the things we know are good for us, to that which we are drawn to but drag our feet towards? Well, I think the first thing is perhaps maybe you need to change your definitions of things. Why are you resisting? What is it that you're resisting? Is it a part of you that just doesn't want to do it according to another person's way, another person's agenda, or you just don't want to do it at all? How I live my life is right is easy and easy is right. If it doesn't feel easy, and what I mean by that is it shouldn't feel like, hauling a 100-pound bag of wet cement up the hill. If there's no ease, if it doesn't flow, if I'm not excited, if I'm not inspired, if I'm not curious, if I'm not willing, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Or if I'm not willing, if I'm not excited, if I'm not inspired, I'm going to find out what it is that I expect may or may not happen once I get there. Because resistance in the moment is never resistance in the moment. Resistance in the moment is all about what the mind thinks is going to happen once we get there, right? Another way to say it is you don't fear the diagnosis, you fear what you think the diagnosis means. So reverse engineer it. What I know to be true is the only reason a human ever does anything, the only reason a human ever chooses anything is because of what we think the feeling, the energy, the emotion, or the experiential payoff will be on the other side. So flip that on its head. Flip the script and say, okay, I'm resistant not to the thing, it's to what I think the thing means. It's to what I think the thing will bring me. It's to what I think the thing will, in terms of an experience, energy, feeling, emotion, what will happen if I do this thing. So resistance is just telling us where we either have beliefs that are not congruent or something that is just completely not for us. So I would say learn how to use your resistance as a tool to show you where you still have growing to do into new skills, into new definitions, into new belief systems, or use resistance to tell you, oh, it's not that I'm lazy, I just don't want to do it. It's not that I'm procrastinating, I just don't want to do it. To me, it's the difference between inspiration and motivation. Motivation is someone telling you what to do. Motivation is the personal trainer screaming at you. Inspiration comes from within. Inspiration is your agenda. Inspiration is your idea. Inspiration is your belief. Inspiration is you and spirit in tandem, moving towards the same thing, in the same direction, expressing the same desire. So if it doesn't feel easy, if it doesn't feel clear, I stop until it is. That's how I look at it. Because inspiration, inspire, to be breathed into. Inspired means you are breathed into. So it is the breath of the divine. This is how I look at divine inspiration. You're welcome, Allie. Divine inspiration is the divine breathing into you. The idea, the desire, the cooperative components, all of it. Bashar talks about the happiness kit. He says, when you are inspired, the fulfillment kit, it comes with everything you need. It comes with the idea, it comes with the resources, it comes with the energy to do it. And that is not your life force energy. That is you and spirit working together. And she gave you that inspiration as she breathed through you. To do it otherwise is to do the heavy lifting. It's to do all the work yourself. It's using your own life force energy. So if I can't be inspired, then I stop and I find a way to be inspired. So maybe it's about shifting your perspective, shifting the carrot. I'll put it to you this way. I don't like doing other people's dishes. Nothing bugs me more than having to do someone else's dirty dishes. I also love cooking in a clean kitchen. Nothing bugs me more than baking or cooking in a kitchen that's dirty. So when I want to bake, because baking is one of my favorite things to do in the world, just for fun, it relaxes me, it centers me, it grounds me, it calms me, and I also get something delicious to eat afterwards. So when I want to bake and I go into the kitchen and the kitchen is dirty with someone else's dishes, guess what? I don't mind doing someone else's dishes because it serves the greater fulfillment of baking in a clean kitchen. So think about it from those perspectives. Maybe you're not resistant. Maybe you're just looking at the wrong goal. It's not about the dirty dishes in the sink. It's about a clean kitchen, and a clean kitchen I can get behind. So then I have no resistance to doing other people's dishes. Just an example of some of the mental gymnastics you can play with yourself to gaslight and trick yourself into doing what you don't want to do. We're going to have a new series called How to Fuck with Yourself. Thank you, everybody, for the amazing questions. Tomorrow we'll be here for day 28, counting down. Like, share, and subscribe as we do our little hearts. Tomorrow we'll be here. Links to book a session are in the description below. Links to my book on Amazon, Notes from the Higher Self, is in the description below. If you bought it, thank you. Please take some time to write a review. If you want to share some financial love, Stripe and PayPal links are in the description below as well. Love y'all. Happy Monday. Have a great week. See you tomorrow. Oh, and don't forget your questions. Email me directly. Bye.